So this is the story of the Good Samaritan. There was a teacher who was proud of himself. He knew all about the laws that God had given to Moses. One day he came to Jesus and asked a question. He wanted to test just how wise the young preacher was, or indeed, how foolish. "What must I do," he inquired, "to be part of God's kingdom?" "What does it say in the book of the law?" asked Jesus. And the teacher replied, "It says, 'Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your strength, and with all your mind.' And it also says, 'Love your neighbour as you love yourself.'" "You're right," Jesus told him. "Do that, and you will be part of the kingdom." But the teacher wasn't satisfied, so he then asked, "Who is my neighbour?" Jesus answered by telling the teacher this story. A man was travelling from Jerusalem to Jericho when suddenly he was attacked by a gang of thieves who beat him, stripped him, took everything he had, and left him half dead by the roadside. Shortly afterwards, one of the priests came down the road and saw the wounded man lying there. Worried that he might get mixed up in some trouble, the priest crossed over and went by on the other side. A little later, a man who worked in the temple came by and heard the wounded man moaning. He went over to look, but he decided it was best not to get involved, and he hurried on his way. Finally, a man from Samaria came along. Like all Samaritans, he didn't agree that the right place to worship is at the temple in Jerusalem. But when the Samaritan saw that someone was in need, he stopped and he went to help. First, he put oil and wine on the man's wounds, and then he tore up part of his own coat to make bandages. When he'd done this, he carefully lifted the man onto his donkey and took him to an inn, where he could take proper care of him. The next day, the Samaritan had to travel on. Before he left, he gave the innkeeper 2 silver coins. "Use this money," he said, "to do whatever needs to be done to look after that man. And if you have to spend more money, I'll pay you back when I next come by this way." Then Jesus said to the teacher, "You asked me, who's my neighbour? Tell me, in your honest opinion, which of those 3 men acted like a neighbour to the man who was attacked by thieves?" There was only one answer the teacher could give. "The man who was kind to him," he said. "Yes," replied Jesus, "and now you know. Make sure you behave in the same way."